Welcome back to another episode of On a Mission. I'm your host, Dr. Wendy Norfleet with Norfleet Integrated Solutions, and it's my pleasure to have with me Phillip Singleton with Singleton Consulting. Welcome, Phillip.
Thank you, Dr. Norfleet, for having me.
You can call me Wendy.
All right, that works.
All right, so Phillip, tell me a little bit about you first. Obviously, you have some experience before you started a company, I hope, so tell me a little bit.
Well, I'm from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Okay.
Went to Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. Studied journalism at first and realized journalists didn't get paid at the time. So I bounced around the pharmacy, economics, business, and things of that nature, and ended up dropping out of FAMU for a minute, and then went back. And in my last semester, I ended up really getting fired from my day job at the DoubleTree Hotel in downtown Tallahassee. Took an unpaid internship in the Florida Capitol. And from there, really kind of learned the process and really fell into politics, never wanted to do it, but really have a Rain Man-like ability, or really a nerd. I'm a cool nerd for the most part. But at least taking all my insight and how really finding a way to make an impact in the political sector.
Okay. And that kind of leads into your consulting company.
Yes.
And so you do your niche is very unique. So your consulting company focuses on government
affairs and energy consulting.
Okay.
Energy and sustainability, but primarily state lobbying. I've been doing this roughly 14 years now.
Okay.
Started my own company in 2014, really after taking a branch of experience that represented historically black colleges, some of the top universities, top cities, top counties in the state, and saying, hey, how can I branch off to give more minorities, more nonprofits, more really minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, an opportunity to get a seat at the table in the political sector in Florida. And over the past few years, I primarily focused on appropriations because I realized that a lot of nonprofits do amazing work for behavioral health work, mental health, education, things of that nature. And what I really try to do from there is say, how can I give you the resources to help you secure resources so you can do your job better? Okay. So if you're dealing with, like I had a client here, a former client, Northwest Behavioral Health, where they were really dealing with people dealing with suicide prevention and the trauma from gang violence and things of that nature. Being able to secure $100,000 for them to say, how can we go ahead and make your program better so you can expand the outreach and provide the mental health services that are there. But also for one of my first clients here in Jacksonville, with Wayman Temple or Wayman Academy of the Arts and Wayman Community Development Corporation, with Pastor Mark Griffin. For the past, I want to say 6 years, we've been able to secure between their charter school and their CDC, Community Development Corporation, over $1.2 million just for at-risk youth to help deal with the programs. Because even before moving to Jacksonville in 2018, quick sidebar, I was a former campaign manager to Congressman Al Lawson, the district that went from Jacksonville to Tallahassee. So we ended up moving here. But even before that, working with Pastor Griffin to deal with the issues that were happening in Eureka Gardens, now Valencia Way, for the children that were living in that community, to say, how can we help provide better resources for after-school reading programs, mental health, full wraparound services, to say, even though you're living in what could be considered a high-crime community in Duval County, let's provide the resources that are needed.
Right, and it doesn't have to determine your future if the resources are there.
Exactly. So my biggest thing is really my niche will really be focused on at-risk youth for the most part, and really giving them a second and better chance at life.
So those organizations that kind of focus on that?
Primarily, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you have a moniker, the hip-hop lobbyist.
Yes, I'm known as.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'm known as a hip-hop lobbyist. One or two reasons. Excuse me there, sorry. Totally sorry. Start over, or?
No.
Oh, all right. The hip-hop lobbyist, one, I was on social media when it was still for college students. So I needed to break away from my college undergrad personas and having a more professional thing. But what I realized before I branched off on my own was we had a constitutional amendment on the ballot to change the student that's that's selected for the Board of Governors. And not realizing this had to go on the constitutional ballot, or on the ballot for all the voters in Florida to decide.
Right.
And I said, you know, two things I love: the hip hop culture, since I listened to Warren G. Regulators for the first time, and then being a lobbyist.
Okay.
And really for the fact that not a lot of people know what lobbyists do, from the impact that we have from building relationships with elected officials, passing policies, securing resources in the budget, or at least educating elected officials about.
Right, I was going to say, I know they do a lot of educating.
Right, and that's the biggest thing, is how do you take the problems that you have as your business and not make it make common sense, but make it make political sense.
Right.
And my biggest thing is, especially with the nonprofits and the organization I work with that deal with at-risk youth, my biggest conversation with fiscal conservatives or liberal Democrats is the return on investment to the taxpayer. Okay. What are we talking about the state doing as a rate, and what is my client doing it as, and how can we get the best that we can through this process for the taxpayers of Florida, which is really the ends up being a conversation. And I think that's the part of politics that really doesn't get out there for the world to know is, what do you mean an ROI to the taxpayer? It's like what does that really mean? But most people really think finance between stocks and options and cryptocurrency or whatever it may be. But it's not really okay, if we're going in, our nonprofit or organization needs some funding, how can we go out and show that we're a best bet for the state or a best partner for the state
and so
to help achieve a goal.
And also that they're going to show some return on investment, because that's the whole big thing. If they put all this money into those organizations, and not necessarily that there's a return on investment, they want to make sure it's used properly. That's a better way to say it.
Very true, very true. It has to be used properly, but at the same time, there may be some other programs in the state that are funded. And a lot of times people don't know because they're not in the process. So my biggest job is not only educating the client on the opportunities, but also finding the opportunities for them as well to say, you know what, this is what we do, but maybe in a year or two they have another program that'll help you expand or help you do different things. But let's, over the next 18 months, build the infrastructure we need so that when this program is available, we're opportune to receive the funding.
So I'm going to go back to this hip hop lobbyist.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so tell me how you got that.
Yeah. So I blended the hip hop culture,
the hip hop and
the lobbyist piece.
Okay.
And from there, I was challenged from a friend of mine saying, hey, hip hop lobbyists, what are you doing for the culture or the hip hop music? Say, let me go out and try to build some relationships. So what I've actually done is built a business partnership with the marketing arm of Maybach Music Group to at least help them with their artists and things of that nature, not only create events that are not necessarily hip-hop centered, but more educationally centered and focused to empower folks.
To more have impact.
Right, yeah, have a bigger impact. And
really, that is good.
Really understanding the difference in that gray wall between, there are a lot of similarities between both industries, but saying how can we bridge that gap of saying, really creating opportunities to where we're not just talking about the clubs and the nightlife and the liquor. Let's talk about healthcare initiatives and things of that nature. And one of the nonprofits I'm working with, the We Reach Foundation, which is based out of Miami, which is a real synergy of all the different pieces coming together, we were able to actually secure $100,000 this year in the budget to have those kind of programs to where you can have artists come out, provide health empowerment, and at the same time have some entrepreneurial empowerment, because a lot of times, culturally, we may look at someone who's a celebrity.
Think they have everything going on, but they don't.
If they don't, at least having the symposium to bring the players together to say, how can we help your business, and how can we at least help from a healthcare initiative to better our communities.
And usually when you help them, they will help impact others. So that's really good.
Right. Always.
Wow. Thank you so much for spending time with us and learning more about lobbyists. Please join us next time on Buzz TV.